Shabbat Shalom. I've been blessed to spend time in Israel over these past few months with my family over the break. And there are many takeaways of what it means to be in Israel around a time like this. And one of the greatest takeaways for me is the sense of connection that one feels to our fellow Jews, to those who are living in Israel, to those who are in pain, to those who are experiencing both the worst and also who are experiencing great things, because there is a lot of good that's happening as well, and we can never forget that. The connections are there in every moment. A typical day for us, just to take one day out of my memories and minds, we go in the morning and we volunteer in a farm in the south, right near the Gaza border, and suddenly you're connected with the fellow volunteers and talking, and it's as if you've known each other your whole lives. And the farmers, of course, who so appreciate the help. There's a deep personal connection that's made in those moments. And then from there, we're off and we go to volunteer at an army base and to bring some baked goods and stop at a bakery in one of the towns near there. And suddenly you're connected with the people who are working there, because the minute they find out that their food is going to soldiers, to holy soldiers of the IDF, there's a connection that's made. And then on the particular day I have in mind, from the army base, we went it was time for mincha, for the afternoon prayers. And so we go into the town of Ofakim and stop somebody on the street and say, do you know of a place where we can pray mincha? And there's a connection made there. They want to help, and they guide us to the most painful and beautiful place at the same time. There's a tent that's set up in the middle of a road, and it's become a makeshift synagogue. What's the tent? Well, there was a shiva here. A father and son were killed on October 7th, were murdered as they went out to help and protect from the terrorists who had made their way into this town, into this city. And as they do in Israel often, they erected a tent so the family could sit shiva outside, so the multitudes of those coming to visit couldn't fit inside of a home, and so they have the shiva outside. And then the shiva is over and the shloshim is over, and the tent stays up. And it's become a community center of sorts. There's prayer services there every day. So the community coalesced around this moment of pain, and they've kept on going and praying together. And there's something very beautiful about that. And then the conversations that we have with the people attending there, and it's powerful. And then from there, we were with our kids, and the kids needed to air out a little bit. They had been schlepped around, and they were eager to play basketball. And so we're looking for a basketball court, and we hear somebody tells us that there's a place, there's a health club, a sports club that you can go. You pay an admission fee and you go, and they have a basketball court as well. And my kids, we had a basketball in the back of the car. They wanted to play basketball. And so we go to this private sports club, and I walk in and say, how much would it cost for us to go in and play basketball? And they said, they gave me the price, and they said, can we have your ID, your Israeli Teudat Zehut, as they say. And I said, I'm not a citizen. I don't have. We're from Canada. And they say, you're from Canada. What are you doing here? I said, we came L'oded, L'chazek. We came to help elevate and uplift and do whatever we can. And they say, well, then there's no cover charge for that. Go in for free. Play basketball. Spend time with your family. It was something very beautiful. And I could go on and on with these sometimes even pedestrian experiences, how each one brought out this deep sense of connection that exists naturally within our Jewish people, but has come out so powerfully in a moment like this. In our Torah portion of Yitro, we see a special kind of connection. The father-in-law Yitro comes and sees his family is doing well, has survived the ordeal, the plagues, and his daughter is married to Moshe, the great leader, and Yitro says something beautiful. He praises God and says, Baruch Hashem, blessed be God, Asher Hitzil, God has saved you and has brought you to this place. And the Talmud in Tractate Sanhedrin says that Yitro somewhat put the Israelites to shame and said, by saying Baruch Hashem, because the Israelites had never said this. Yitro was the first one to use these words, Baruch Hashem, blessed is God. And the question is, put the Israelites to shame? Why? The Israelites, last week in the Parsha, in the Torah portion, we read about the song at the sea. They sang songs of praise to God. Wasn't that enough? Yitro says, Baruch Hashem, okay, that's great. But we sang our song also. Rav Shalom of Radomsk has a beautiful interpretation. And he said the following. He said the difference between Israel's song at the sea and Yitro's phrase, Baruch Hashem, blessed is God, is that when Israel sang a song at the sea, they were praising God for what God had done for them. When Yitro said Baruch Hashem, he was praising God for what God had done to someone else, for the Israelites. It's one thing to be able to rejoice in our own moments of salvation. It's quite another to be able to rejoice in someone else's success. And I would extend the same point to not only to joy, but to sadness as well, to pain as well. It's one thing to feel one's own pain. It's quite another to be able to truly feel the pain of another. As a people, we've never been closer. I think this is, right now, we are living through the moment of perhaps greatest Jewish unity since Mount Sinai. And it's a moment and a feeling and a sentiment that we can't take for granted. And our blessing on this Shabbat of Yitro, in which we'll read the Ten Commandments, in which we'll read of these extraordinary moments of giving the Torah to the Jewish people, of unity that existed in that moment, as our sages describe in great detail just how unified and coalesced the Jewish people were in that moment. And Yitro teaches us the key to feeling close, to connecting with someone else, and that is rejoicing in their successes and, by extension, feeling pain in their times of sorrow. We are feeling deeply the experience of our brothers and sisters in Israel right now, and we feel deeply the experience of those in our own community who are going through their own struggles and their own successes and joys as well. And it's our prayer that this sense of connection and unity will persist even after the war is over and after Israel has emerged victorious and after Hamas has been put to an end, please God, soon, and after the hostages are released, achshav, now. The feeling of unity, we have to figure out a way how to make it stay and become a part of who we are always. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of peace and tranquility, and only blessings. Shabbat Shalom.